And now we're live on Facebook and YouTube. Thank you. Hi, everybody. Welcome to I Got My Miracle. This is Michael. And I just kind of shanghaied him in here from a beautiful, relaxing day, made him reschedule a massage to come do this.
Already got mine.
So he's really relaxed right now, which is good. So I'm grateful for everybody joining in. We are at Rythmia today. It's a beautiful day in downtown Guanacaste, which the traffic is really busy. Lots of iguana traffic, lots of monkey traffic. And this talk is called I Got My Miracle. And it's each week we ask someone to come forth from the group that was at the retreat this week and to share something about their miracle. And I got to teach the closing group this week, and closing group was with was it yesterday afternoon, and Michael shared something, and I was like, oh God, that was such a great share. And so I shanghaied him after class and was like, will you do this? And he said yes. So I'm super grateful. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
So here we are. This is the end of another retreat. We do retreats every week at Rythmia. We're closed 3 weeks out of the year, so you can find a retreat here anytime. And what you can expect is to have a life-changing miracle while you're here. And what does that mean? A life-changing miracle is when you see who you've become, merge with your soul and heal your heart. When you let go of past stories, come back to a place of authenticity and your true self, and step forward boldly in your life, free from the past and unforgiveness. That's really what this week is about. So we're going to see if Michael agrees with that. I think he does, because he had a pretty amazing share. So, okay. So hi, everybody. Welcome. Thank you. Brother.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thanks for being here.
Absolutely. Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday. So let's find out a little bit about you. Like, where are you from?
The States, middle of America, Nebraska.
Nebraska. Like born and raised in Nebraska?
More or less. Most of my life there.
Okay.
But I've traveled all around.
Okay, Nebraska. You like to say Nebraska.
Yep.
Where in Nebraska?
In Omaha.
All right.
Big city.
Mutual of Omaha.
Yeah. That's there.
I used to love those shows.
Oh,
when I
no,
was
way
a
back.
kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm here in the studio while Frank is outside wrestling an alligator.
Yep,
You know?
exactly.
Man, that was Saturday afternoons. That was on Saturday afternoons, if I remember correctly, or Sunday afternoon.
Anyway. I do remember those. Yeah. Dating ourselves.
Right. But I've been dating myself for years. You know, it's a different kind of dating. Anyway, what brought you to Rythmia? What had you go, I want to come to this place and drink ayahuasca?
Actually, I've known about ayahuasca for quite some time, just flowing through my life, and kind of like, that seems kind of interesting. But in the last year, a friend of mine had actually been here at Rythmia, and we'd gotten talking, and I could just see the smile and the light in his eyes. And he said, if you ever want any more information, I'll send you some links. Like 6 months went by, and I didn't even really talk about it.
Yeah. And
then I just said, I don't know what triggered, I want to look into this a little bit further. And I did, and then I said, screw it, I'm going to book it.
So, you said you don't know what had you go, I want to look into this a little further.
No, I don't. I guess maybe I do know. I mean, I'm at a point in my life where everything's great. Great wife, great daughter, live in a great house, great job, yet missing something.
Yeah.
Like I'm not growing anymore. Kind of just a little depressed and just kind of, just not.
And everything's great.
Yeah, and that's what's mind-boggling. Like, I should be the happiest guy in the world.
That is a very common, I think a lot of people can identify with that. Anybody like to comment on that? Can you identify with that? Like, everything's like, I don't even know why I'm unhappy.
Yeah.
Because I should be I don't even know what I like anymore, because this is what I wanted.
Exactly, yeah. I got everything I need.
And so, okay, so there was that kind of impulse. So you're like, okay, screw it. I'm going to go do this. And what were your expectations that you were going to get out of this trip?
Well, it's kind of, I didn't research it too much. I didn't dig into it I kind of wanted to come with zero expectations.
Okay.
Just knew there was a lot of healing here, and just wanted to see what it was all about. So I even though there were a lot of expectations, I realized after I got here that I didn't think I had. But I came with as open mind as possible because I've done a lot of different types of therapies and seen some swamis and different ashrams, and so I'm always searching for more
Okay.
in my heart somewhere. So,
all right, two things out of that. So, tell me. First of all, I want to go back to the expectations that you realized that you didn't know you had. So, what were some of those expectations?
Just actually, I've been to a bunch of resorts. I'd never been to a place where everyone actually genuinely cares.
It's true.
I mean, everybody. I mean, from top to bottom, it's just everyone cares.
It's amazing, right? Yeah. I've worked. We spoke before, and Michael said he started in the restaurant business, and I had started in the restaurant business and worked at like Ritz-Carlton and JW Marriott, fine dining restaurants where like service was the whole point.
Yeah,
and
white tablecloth stuff. Yeah,
but I mean, the genuine care and the Ritz-Carlton is like the genuine care and comfort of our guests is our highest mission, right? Like everybody's like focused on that. Right. This was when I worked there. It was before Marriott bought it. Was like,
okay, yeah.
Horst Schultz and the Ritz-Carlton. There were 8 hotels in the world,
right?
And I still haven't worked with a group of people that care this much, even at that high level. The Ritz-Carlton, JW Marriott, people care, but not like they do here, because there's something more going on than just a nice hotel stay.
Yes,
yeah.
And it is a nice hotel stay.
Yeah, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Okay, so there. What did you said you've done a lot of therapy. You said you've seen some swamis. You're always searching. Tell us a little bit about your path to this point.
It's a lot of the trying to heal myself was after my wife passed away about 10 years ago. And I was kind of lost after that. And my only coping mechanism at that time was the bottle. And that's not was either the bottle or my daughter, and picked it up.
That's right. You told me you were 10 years sober. Wow. Really?
So, therapy was, to help with just the pain and that kind of things, but which has been great, but it's kind of ebb and flow, and it's just kind of has touched on some things, but haven't really got that deep into anything. And, just trying to find different spiritual places that help me get over the pain that I was in.
So you did like talk therapy, like behavioral.
Mm-hmm.
What was do you know what kind of type of therapy?
No, I mean, there was all different types of light therapies and
okay.
I don't even remember all the different names, but tried a bunch of different.
And then you went to see, did you go to India to see swamis?
No, actually in Florida. There's an ashram in Florida that some good friends of mine go to. I kind of just tagged along for a week.
It's not Michael Singer's ashram, is it?
It's Kashi.
Okay. Okay. So you went to Kashi.
Yeah. And I took my daughter with
me. And did you participate in that for a while? Or?
Just the week I was there. It was kind of a week-long intensive kind of like retreat thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was great, and we even had a burial ceremony for my wife with some of her ashes. So there was a lot of healing there as well.
Wow. Sounds beautiful.
Yeah. It was, and they were all lovely. It was a great experience.
Yeah. So, okay. So now you're going through life. Friend, you noticed this lightness in him, and maybe that was a year ago?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And 6 months go by, and you reach out to him again, and he gives you some links, and then some time goes by, and finally kind of this feeling of everything's great, but I'm not happy.
Yeah, and it's pointless to live that way anymore.
Yeah, feels empty.
Yeah.
Um, so you came and you got here, and so there was an expectation at the very least that somehow that was going to be transferred.
Yes,
Okay.
in some form or fashion. No idea how.
So you show up, and what's your experience of the resort?
Resort's great. The room's fantastic. It's all set up beautifully. Restaurants, it's fantastic. I mean, to have that type of food like that, just sitting at home, that little
A little
bar,
buffet.
yeah, a little buffet, and not have to worry about what's in this, what's in that, what's in this. I mean, so to eat that healthy for this long has been great.
Yeah, I feel pretty lucky too when I get to go
Yeah.
have lunch here and pile up the nice fresh greens.
Yeah.
I was in Cuba a couple weeks ago, and they don't have any greens.
Really?
Really, like the farming is tough. They don't have equipment. They don't have parts for equipment. They don't have petroleum, so like farming is hard there. There's been decades of a U.S. embargo.
Mhm.
So some places had greens, but mainly no greens. So I was like, I go from a regular massive consumption of raw greens, cooked greens, and all the stuff that I'm eating normally to like meats and root vegetables. I was like, I was just like a rock in my gut. So great food.
Yes.
And what did you think of your fellow retreatants?
That's an experience in itself because there's people from all over the world, every form of life, as far as where they've been, what they've done. A lot of experienced people. It's after this week's been over, I've made some great lifelong friends.
Right. And probably were there people like at the beginning of the week when you got here, you were like, I can run, but those people I can hang out with. Those people know.
Oh yeah.
And by the end of the week,
yeah, the empath in me, a little judgy right off the bat, kind of figuring things out within 5 minutes.
Right. So and now how did that shift at the end of the week?
Oh yeah, I love them all.
Right. Like
Yeah.
everybody's my family. I love you all. It's hilarious. It's funny. Right?
Yeah.
It's so funny. Okay. And so now, we say that you get a miracle. Like you'll have a life-changing miracle at the end of the week.
Yeah.
What was your miracle?
That whole thing I've heard forever about finding your younger child or something to that effect.
Mm-hmm.
And, I've read 100 self-help books and things like that, and that's your inner child and all that stuff. And honestly, really never understood what that meant. And after all these extensive classes that you taught throughout the week, it helped me kind of pick through on how to navigate that, if you will. And through ceremony, I was able to tap into some places that I'd never been before, as far as finding that child, which is it's so weird for me to even talk about because it's I don't even
okay,
know.
so let me help you. So so what happens? You go to ceremony, you drink this medicine, and we guide people at Rythmia very clearly to ask the question, "Show me who I've become." Right, and that question, we just say, ask the question. That's your intention for that night, and you drink the medicine. And typically, the ayahuasca helps to liberate memories, not suppress memories. It's not like, oh, I didn't even know that happened. It's like you have a memory, but your brain and your ego, in order to protect you, has disconnected that memory from an emotion.
Yeah.
Right, from the emotional connection to it, and you just have this memory, and it's like, I always remember that. I don't know why, or that there's something you remember, and it's disconnected out of safety, right, to keep you from having to feel that. And the medicine sort of erases that and makes that connection. And when you make that connection, you're like, oh my God, that's the thing that has actually been running me. Like I didn't realize that I've just been afraid all this time. And all of my addiction or controlling or people pleasing or not having boundaries or whatever it was ends up, it's like that was all a projection so that I didn't have to feel scared, or I didn't have to feel like I wasn't enough. I didn't have to feel.
Right.
So one of the reasons why I wanted to invite you onto the show is because your example was so like perfect, right? So you drink the medicine, you're in ceremony, and you had this vision.
Yeah, like there's this one memory, my first memory actually that I can reach back to is a time when my feet were sticking out of the window of the car, and I remember asking my father if I can stick my feet out of the car. And I'm realizing that it's a U-Haul. And I have to ask him, and he says yes. And I was really excited to put my feet outside of going down the highway. And this was, my parents had got divorced when I was around that age 5. And my dad was driving my brother and my mom halfway across the country to start us, our three's new life. And so that memory kind of popped into my head Monday and Tuesday, and like, maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know if that really has anything, but maybe I'll jump on that a little bit. So on the fourth night, I got to a place through the medicine that I was in a calm place, and I stepped on that memory a little bit further. And like, okay, so this is little Mikey. Maybe that's who I need to talk to. And so I put myself in the driver's seat where my dad was sitting. And I looked over to little Mikey and said, "Hey, Mikey." And he turned to me. And it was just, boom. It was the most incredible thing. I saw this pure, little, gorgeous little boy. Rosy little cheeks, white, blonde hair, looking at me. And he was excited that he got to put his feet out. But I saw past that look. And I saw his anxiousness, his fear that he's moving halfway across the country. How he's got to navigate a whole new life. He lost all his friends. He's actually going to lose his dad because he's going to be halfway across the country. And all these feelings kept rushing over me of this poor little guy. He's feeling guilty. Like, was it his fault? Is that why he's moving halfway across the country? What did he do? And at that moment, I knew that's when I disassociated with my whole self. And all this happened within 2 seconds of me realizing that I need to talk to him. Wow. And we pulled over. We didn't even get to rest stop, and I pulled over and I took him out of the car and just hugged him. And I've never, talk to your younger self. That didn't even make any sense to me. But when it does, it does. Oh my God. It was, and with that, I was able to talk to him and tell him it's okay. It wasn't his fault. It's nothing he did. You're doing great. And I hugged him and hugged him and hugged him. And I could feel my heart getting better just from that moment. And that was the beginning, if you will.
Okay, so that was the beginning. What?
Yeah, because then I was such in a great place. Like, what else can I do with this? I don't just need to talk to this Mikey. There's 50-odd years of Mikeys that I could talk to. And boom, another image popped up of maybe a year later when I moved. I was at daycare, and I have this anxiety of this kid bullying me. And that was it. And I'm sure it's because I was new. I didn't know anybody. I was an easy target. And I pulled him aside right next to the finger painting and the sand and everything. And we sat outside. And I was there to protect him and tell him it's okay and hug him again. And so that, like, I can do this infinitely.
Wow.
there's so many times I get to talk to him. And each time I talk to myself, it just heals a little bit more.
God, that's beautiful, man.
It's crazy.
So I was like, the thing that really, that I loved, the first part of that story was you became your father looking at you, which, you know, one of the things that I try to guide people to do in this process is to give your little self what you needed at that time. Be the adult, be the parent, be the mother, or be the father that you needed at that time. And or let them say what they need to say. Sometimes sometimes your younger self needs to tell you something. Sometimes you need to tell your younger self something. But a lot of times you become like, I had another guy who, his story was, he was like 6 or 7 and he was riding his bike and he hit a parked car, like riding his bike, and he had to get like 50 stitches. Like, it was serious, you know?
I have that same thing happen to me too. But
Really?
That's a whole other story.
Oh, wow. Okay, so
about 9. But.
he says he remembers this, and he remembers driving. They had to drive like a half hour or something to the hospital, the emergency room. They lived in the country, and he's laying in his mother's lap, and he remembers his father like yelling at him for being stupid, hitting the parked car, you know. And then as he was reliving that in the ayahuasca ceremony, he became his mother, holding himself in the car. And I mean, I hear many stories of people, they become their father, they become their mother, and they mother or father their younger self and give them what they needed at that time. So your story was really profound. And then the part that was really great was that you had the realization that I can go back and do this at multiple points in my life.
Yeah.
And every time I do, I'm healing a different part of myself. It was beautiful.
It's great. Because it's endless. I have so much, and I'm something of you're your best patient, or you're your best therapist, or something like that. Yeah, talking to myself my younger self has been great. I mean, because I kind of know what he needs.
Right. And now I think you have this connection that as you go through life and things kind of come up for you, you might take a moment and see what part of you, what is that part of you? Is there a correlation to, you can ask the question, do I feel this way in life? When's the first time I remember feeling this way? And go, oh, that's that part of me that I remember. Or sometimes just a memory comes up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, recently I was doing a meditation. I asked, what in me still needs to be healed? And then what came up was thoughts and words. I was like, okay. But then as time went on, you know, as I contemplated that, a childhood memory came up. There was an experience in my current life that I was like, ooh, I think that relates to my inquiry about what in me still needs to be healed. And then immediately memories came up that seem disconnected. But I'm like, no, those memories came up in that inquiry. They're connected, right? And that was not in the medicine that happened to me. So you will have that ability.
And that's exciting. That's fun.
Right? And you get to go back and heal the stuff, like these little things. It's not like you had, divorce for a child and moving across country is dramatic, but it's not like I was abandoned, I was molested, I was beaten, I was, you know,
none of that.
We all had decent not all of us, but a lot of people come here who had really good childhoods. Or, you know, one of the guys in the class this week said so much, like, I didn't really have any, you know, it doesn't really matter because it's the story we tell ourselves.
Right.
Something happened. So did you have anything else you wanted to share? If anybody's listening, if anybody's still listening at this point, although your story was really amazing, and I know people are listening, anything that you would say to someone who is thinking about coming to rythmia, or what you would share about your experience?
I would just share that as apprehensive as I was and skeptical and all that kind of, this is no way this thing is real type deal. Give it a shot, because there was so many people this week that fought it so hard that this is not for me. It's not going to happen. by the end of the week. It's so great to see some of those folks have smiles on their faces that you didn't think that there was any way that they would
right?
figure it out or get the miracle. I mean, it was, and just seeing those people, that was another miracle for myself because I'm so happy for all those others.
Did you have the capacity to be, I mean, like, not that you were unhappy, but sometimes I'm not so happy. In my past, I have not been so happy for others, especially, you know,
selfish, self-centered.
And now I'm like, I can actually, there's a part of me that's like really genuinely, it sounds like you're really genuinely happy for them.
And this another little tidbit that's come up is, since I have been so selfish, self-centered my whole life, I'm horrible at remembering names. Even in sales, that's the worst thing to be, is not knowing people's names.
I know, man.
So somehow I've managed to get through that. But this week, I meet somebody one time, I know their name. I've known 40 people's names.
Oh, it's awesome.
My therapist, my massage therapist, and everybody who I've met once. The helpers at the Roots. I mean, it's just like that block is gone too.
It's
because
awesome.
I actually care about others.
Oh my God. Oh man, you were a great guest for this week.
Thank you for having me. This is out of my comfort zone too.
Oh, you did great. It was perfect. It was perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you all for joining us. We'll see you next week for I Got My Miracle.